Hello, everybody. James Earl Kidd. I'm going to read another story. This time it's out of They Shoot Canoes, Don't They? By Pat McManus. The name of this story is called The Skunk Dog. The Skunk Dog. Let's see what it's about. When I was a kid, I used to beg my mother to get me a dog. You've got a dog, she would say. No, I mean a real dog, I would reply. Well, you've got Strange, and he's a real dog, more or less. Strange was mostly less. He had stopped by to kedge off a free meal off of us one day and found the picking so easy he decided to stay on. He lived with us for 10 years, although, as my grandmother used to say, it seemed like centuries. In all those years, he displayed not a single socially redeeming quality. If dogs were films, he'd have been X-rated. I recall one Sunday when my mother had invited the new parish priest to dinner. Our dining room table was situated in front of a large window overlooking the front yard. During the first course, Strange passed by the window not once but twice, walking on his front legs but dragging his rear end over the grass. His mouth was split in an ear-to-ear grin of sublime relief, and possibly of pride in his discovery of a new treatment for embarrassing itch. Well, Father, Mom said in a hasty effort to add distraction, and how do you like our little town by now? Huh? The pastor said, a fork full of salad frozen in mid-stroke as he gaped out the window at the disgusting spectacle. Pardon me, what were you saying? During the next course, Strange appeared outside the window with the remains of some creature that had met its end sometime prior to the previous winter. No doubt, something he had saved for just such a formal occasion. As he licked his chops in pretense of preparing to consume the loathsome object, Mom shot me a look and said, kill that dog. I stepped to the door, fully intending to carry out the order, but Strange ran off, snickering under his breath. More chicken, Father? Mom asked. Thank you, I think not, the priest said, running a finger around the inside of his Roman collar, as if experiencing some welling of the throat. Fortunately, the dinner was only 4 courses in length, ending before Strange could stage his grand finale. A female collie, 3 dead rats, and the entrails of a sheep were left waiting in the wings. Mom said later she didn't know whether Strange was just being more disgusting than usual that day or had something against organized religion. In any case, it was a long while before the priest came to dinner again. Our invitations invariably conflicted with funerals, baptisms, or self-imposed days of fasting. Strange was the only dog I've ever known who could belch at will. It was his idea of high comedy. If my mother had some of her friends over for a game of pinochle, Strange would slip into the house and slouch over to the ladies. Then he would emit a loud belch. Apparently, he mistook shudders of revulsion for a form of applause because he would sit there on his haunches, grinning modestly up at the group and preparing an encore. Stop, stop, he would snarl as I dragged him back outdoors. They love me. They'll die laughing at my other routine. I'll have them on the floor. I will not speak here of his other routine. In general appearance, Strange could easily have been mistaken for your average brown and white mongrel with floppy ears and a shaggy tail, except that depravity was written all over him. He looked as if he sold dirty postcards to support an opium habit. His eyes spoke of having known the depths of degradation, and approving of them. Tramps were his favorite people. If a tramp stopped by for a free meal at our picnic table and to case the place, Strange would greet him warmly, exchanging bits of news about underworld connections and leak inside information about the household. They ain't got any decent jewelry, but the silver's not bad, and there's a good radio in the living room. The tramp would reach down and scratch the dog behind the ears as a gesture of appreciation. And Strange would belch for him. Face wrinkled in disgust, the tramp would then hoist his bedroll and depart the premises, no doubt concerned about the reliability of food given to him by a family that kept such a dog. My friends at school often debated the attributes of various breeds of dogs. I tend to favor black labs, I'd say, going on to recite the various characteristics I had recently excerpted from a Field and Stream dog column. Somehow, my classmates got the impression that I actually owned a black lab and had personally observed these characteristics. While I was aware of the mistaken impression, I didn't feel it was my business to go around refuting all the rumors that happened to get started. Sooner or later, however, one of these friends would visit me at home. Strange would come out of his house and satisfy himself that the visitor wasn't a tramp in need of his counsel. That done, he would yawn, belch, gag, and return to his den of iniquity. That your dog? The kid would ask. I guess so, I'd reply, embarrassed. Too bad, the kid would say. I always thought you had a black lab. Nah, just him. But I'm planning on buying me a black lab pup for first chance I get. I sure would, the kid said, shaking his head. As a hunting dog, Strange was a good deal worse than no dog. Nevertheless, he clearly thought of himself as a great hunting guide. Fresh spoor, he would say, indicating a pine cone. We can't be far behind him, and for God's sake, shoot straight, because I judge from the sign that he's in a bad mood. Chances of shooting any game at all with Strange around were nil. He had no concept of stealth. His standard hunting practice was to go through the woods shouting directions and advice to me and speculating loudly about the absence of game. I would have had more luck hunting with a rock band. Strange did not believe in violence, except possibly in regards to chickens. He couldn't stand chickens. If a chicken walked by his house, Strange would rush out in a rage and tell it to off and maybe even cuff it around a bit in the manner of some Bogart or Cagney. You stupid chicken, don't ever catch me. Let me catch you in this neighborhood again. You hear? Some of our neighbors kept half-starved timber wolves for watchdogs. Occasionally, one of these beasts would come loping warily through our yard and encounter Strange. Such Strange considered the whole world as his territory. He felt no particular obligation to defend his small portion of it. He would sit there, figuratively picking his teeth with a match, and stare insolently at the wolf, who was 4 times his size, his lip curled over glistening fangs, hackles raised, growls, rumbling up from its belly. After a bit, the wolf would circle Strange, back away, and then lope on, occasionally casting a nervous glance over its back, over its shoulder. Punk, Strange would mutter. Probably the reason none of these wolves ever attacked Strange was they figured he was carrying a switchblade and maybe a blackjack. Despite the peculiar passive side to his character, Strange did commit a single act of violence that was so terrible my mother actually considered selling the farm and moving us all to town. At the very least, she said she was getting rid of Strange. The episode began one warm spring evening when my grandmother sighted a skunk scurrying under our woodshed. He's probably the one that's been killing our chickens, Graham said. I wouldn't be surprised but that he has his missus under there and they're planning a family. We'll be overrun with skunks. Well, we just have to get him out from under the woodshed, Mom said. Land sakes, a person can scarcely get a breath of fresh air in the backyard without smelling skunk. Maybe we should get Rancid Crabtree to come over and see what he can do about it. He'd certainly overpower a skunk, Sal, Graham said, but don't see that that's any gain. What I mean is, Mom said, maybe Rancid could trap the skunk, or at least get it to leave. It's worth a try. I don't know, Graham said. It just doesn't seem like a fair contest to me. Because Rancid uses guns and traps, I asked. No, because the skunk has a brain. Graham and Rancid were not fond of each other. The next day, I was sent to tell Rancid we needed his expertise in extracting a skunk from under our woodshed. His face brightened at this news. Ha, he said. That old woman couldn't figure out how to get a skunk off from under your shed, so first thing she does is start yelling for old Crabtree. If that don't beat all. Well, when he arrived, actually, it was Mom that told me to come get you, I said. Well, in that case, I'll come. Just keep the old woman out of my hair. When we arrived, Graham was standing out by the woodshed, banging on a pot with a steel spoon and whooping and hollering. The old woodsman nudged me in the ribs and winked. I could tell we were going to get off on one of these good ones. Would you mind practicing your drumming and singing somewhere else? Rancid said to her. Me and the boy got to get a skunk off from under that shed. If Graham could have given the skunk the same look she fired Rancid, the creature would have been stunned, if not killed outright. The glare had no effect on Rancid, however, since he was bent over laughing and slapping his knee in appreciation of his good one. It was, in fact, one of the best good ones I've ever heard him get off, but I didn't dare laugh. All right, Bob Hope, Graham snapped. Let's see how you get the skunk off from under there. Maybe if you stood upwind of it, that would do the trick. Don't rile me none, old woman. Don't rile me. Rancid said, now, boy, go fetch me some newspapers. I'm going to smoke that critter out of there. And burn down the shed, most likely, Graham said. Ha, Rancid said. You think I don't know how to smoke a skunk off from under his shed? Fortunately, the well and the bucket were close at hand, and we were able to douse the fire before he got any more damage than black in one corner of the building. During these proceedings, Strange had emerged from his house and sat looking on with an air of bemusement. There was nothing he loved better than a ruckus. Maybe we should let the skunk be, Mom said. Land sakes, yes, Graham shouted at Rancid, before you destroy the whole dang farm. Rancid snorted. No skunk's ever bested me yet, and this ain't going to be the first. After each failed attempt to drive out the skunk, Rancid seemed to be overcome angrier and more frenzied. Furiously, he dug a hole in one side of the shed. Then he rammed a long pole in through a hole and flailed wildly about with it. No luck. He went inside the shed and jumped up and down on the floor with his heavy boots. Still no skunk emerged. At one point, he tried to crawl under the shed, apparently with the idea of entering into hand-to-hand combat with the skunk, but the shed floor was too low to the ground. Then he grabbed up the pole and flailed it wildly under the floor again. Next, he dropped the pole and yelled at me, go get another batch of newspapers. No, screamed Mom. Leave the poor skunk alone, Graham yelled. I'm starting to become fond of the little critter. Ransom stood there, panting, and mopping sweat from his forehead with his arm. I know what I'll do. I'll set a trap for him. Should should have did that in the first place. No skunk is gonna. At that moment, the skunk, no doubt taking advantage of the calm, or perhaps frightened by it, ran out from under the shed and made for the nearby brush. I figured that little trick would work, Ransom said, although no one else was quite sure what trick he was speaking of. And this way, there ain't no big stink, which is how I planned it. Then Strange tore into the skunk. The battle was short but fierce, with the skunk expending its whole arsenal as Strange dragged it about the yard, up the porch, and down into the woodshed, and out and through the group of frantically dispersing spectators. At last, coming to its senses, the dog dropped the skunk and allowed it to stagger off into the bushes. Strange seemed embarrassed by his first and only display of heroism. I don't know whatever came over me, he said, shaking. I got nothing against skunks. Still, I couldn't help but be proud of him. The skunk was gone, but his essence lingered on. The air was stiff with the smell of skunk for weeks afterwards. That dog has got to go, Bob said. But of course, Strange refused to go, and that was that. It was years before Strange was entirely free of the skunk odor. Every time he got wet, the smell came back in potent force. Phew, a new friend of mine would say. That your dog? Yeah, I said probably he's a skunk dog. I love that story. A skunk dog. Thank you very much. It's James Real Kid. I love you all. See you again.